For the past week, I've been wondering, what can one say at a time like this when every newspaper, every article, every television show, every commentator in the world isn't trying to give advice? And in a way, there isn't much new that one can offer. In terms of technique, in terms of lifestyle, in terms of how to keep yourself busy, how to keep yourself distracted, how to deal with your tension, how to deal with your fear, how to deal with your anxiety. There are techniques. There are a lot of things you can do to find your way into your particular story. And the intriguing thing is, we are all living very specific lives. No two stories now are exactly alike. Some people are in really major suffering mode. Other people are sheltering in place and finding it comfortable. Some people are comfortable and fearing for the future. Some people are struggling and totally happy. It's really it's a free-for-all out there. So what are the common denominators, and what is it that we, this particular group of people who subscribe to this kind of idea of meditative uplift, what is the existential underlying truth that we all need to sit with that will make the next hours, days, weeks, months, or whatever fruitful? So let me give you the worst of it, just to get it out of the way. We're all going to die. I know you've heard that before. You probably heard that from early in your life, and we all go, yeah. But when a moment like this occurs, as disruptive as it is to the social order and to the norms of our lives, it does become a living reality. And it might have been some time ago in our lives. Mostly we live with that as a very distant possibility. That disruption of that dynamic, of that dimension, wouldn't have to be dealt with until much later in the game. Are you still seeing me, by the way? Or is everybody seeing Eve? Okay. Eve, I don't know why your screen is lit up, but
sorry.
So put on your mute button. Okay, thank you. So let me talk about dying. I know it's not everybody's favorite topic, but in the existential scheme of things, it's the only inevitable. Everything else is a variable. That is inevitable. And one of the things about dying is that it's done very alone. You may be surrounded by people, which I think is meaningful. You may have people laying hands on your shoulder, on your head, comforting you, standing around your bedside, loving you. You may be on the street in New York and just fall dead on the sidewalk. You don't know. You don't know. But you will be at that moment profoundly alone. And when you are profoundly alone like that, it will feel not dissimilar to how you're feeling right now. Abandoned, full of questions, not knowing, future, in a sense, appearing and disappearing at the same time because you know it's not future you can project. You are going to be slammed right into present tense awareness. Present tense, now. That will happen. And when it happens, you will either be, in a sense, ready for that moment, or you will go, not yet, wait, give me another few minutes, give me another few months, whatever your proclivity is toward wanting to sustain your life. But they do not always agree with that choice. And often it will be, this is it, guys, you're coming now. And what you will feel probably in that moment is a potential for insufficiency, that you are not enough, that you have not done enough, you have not lived enough, you have not become enough, you have not witnessed enough, you are not ready. So how do you get ready? So when that inevitable moment really hits you, what do you do that can make you go or allow you to go, yes? Well, I will tell you what Buddhist monks have practiced for eons of time is you isolate yourself for a time in a very quiet place, be it a home or a little meditative cabin or a cave somewhere, and you just sit still. And you deal with all the stuff that comes up in that moment. And it will be everything that you need to deal with. Everything. Your mind will start to activate all sorts of things, questions and fears and doubts and worries about future and what this is all about and how did we get here. And if you sit still long enough for a prolonged period of time and you get past the exhaustion of mind trying to distract you and entertain you, and you just go, okay, I give up. Or in Rudy's terms, I surrender. And you sit really still. And if you have this mechanism, which we teach in this class, which is focal points, where do you go with your mind when it's exhausted in exploring the walls of your room and the windowsill and the carpet and the whatever else is there? Where do you go with your mind? You go in here. You go into these centers of feeling and being, which exist inside you. They are 7 portals that go in and also, in a way, transcend and go up. And you know them all. We've gone through them a million times, but you have one in your top of your head. You have one in your third eye. You have one in your throat, one in your heart, one in your navel, one in your sex chakra, and one at the base of your spine. And these are entry points and, if you will, exit points. But if you start to go in them, stop looking at the windowsill, stop staring at the carpet, just sit there and just feel, enter into, relax, let go of all of the drama and all of the fear and all of the stress and all of the unknowing. It can all come back anytime you want it, but for a short period of time, just sit there and watch what happens. It's what Buddha did when he was sitting under the bo tree. It's what anyone does in a meditative space. You realize that you have removed yourself from social norms, from society itself, from day-to-day life, from having to do and having to function and having to be part of the world. You remove yourself and you go into this remarkable gift of a space that's inside you. That's what you do. For whatever reason, and none of us knows the reason, the world has stopped. It has stopped. You are under house arrest. You cannot go outside without some penalty. Right now, it's not an official governmental penalty, but it's a penalty of perhaps life and death. So you are caught in house arrest, and the windowsill is getting very boring. I don't know how many Netflix shows you've watched. I don't know how much, whatever you've gotten to that's going, it's like, oh my God. put it aside and take advantage of this moment of really sitting still, even if it's just 20 minutes. But I'm going to tell you, you've got an opportunity here to sit for hours. And then you can get up and walk around. If you're lucky, you can walk outside and then come back and sit again. But there is this remarkable place inside. Remarkable place. And it opens, I say this week to week, it opens, it invites you in, it allows you to go into a place where there is no stress, there is no future because your mind isn't projecting a story, there's just the present being. You feel welcomed by it, you feel comfortable, you feel grateful to be able to sit there. The minute your mind comes in, you will start to have to remember what Rudy taught about the mind. The mind is the slayer of the soul. The mind is the slayer of the soul. That is Rudy's teaching. When the mind comes in to go, what are you doing? This is so boring. I can't stand this. I want to do something else. Okay, leave. You're welcome to leave. We all have free will. We can give ourselves over to present tense awareness, or we can go away into the noise of what's around us. You have complete choice here, guys. But what's really important is at this moment of the world stopping, you have a kind of directive, an opportunity to take advantage of this stillness, even if you don't have enough food, even if you're worried about the payment for the next bill, even if all of that's happening and swirling around you with a kind of cyclonic force. Sit down, find the place that will allow you to breathe through it. It is never not there, ever. You are always welcome into your own center, and your center will always care for you. When you die, and the outside world is doing to you what it is sort of doing to all of us right now, which is shutting down, making itself unavailable, when future is no longer a story you can convince yourself will happen. When all that starts to go away, you have this thing inside you that goes, now's the time to come in. Now's the time to come out of the cold. Now's the time to sit back and relax. If you can't find that stillness and that relaxing and that welcoming and that what becomes a real sense of gratitude and joy, if you can't find it, sit longer. Sit longer. I always reference this at this moment in this kind of talk. I reference Christ on the cross in terrible suffering and asking, why have you abandoned me? It's like when we sit in our heart chakra and nothing comes in but stress and concern and fear, and we don't feel protected. Stay longer. You're tied to that cross one way or the other, or nailed to it. Stay there. And then remember what happened to Jesus, because it's really important. He suddenly looked out on his persecutors, the noise of the mind, if you will, or the noise of people putting spears into you. He looked at them, and what did he say? Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Something transformed in this space in his heart that had been abandoned and felt no connection to the God that gave birth to him. All he felt was pain and suffering, and somehow he had this transitional moment where he looked out into the world, and the people who were causing him the greatest suffering, he forgave them. That is the transition you experience sitting still in yourself, in your heart, in your gut, feeling nothing but abandonment, feeling alone. And then something comes and you look out and you feel compassion for everyone. In other words, you connect to the totality. You connect to the fact that your story is everyone's story, and that we all live in ignorance, we all live in suffering, we all live in confusion, we all live in fear of death, we all are horrified by what is going on, and you start to feel, I am not in this alone. This is something that we share. And at that moment, you can begin to do something, which is really a kind of a wonderful thing that you can actually do if you want my instructions on how to live during this period. Reach out. When you come out of your quietude, reach out to people you have not spoken to in years, perhaps, to people who may be suffering and alone. And we have this amazing thing called, email and texting and all that. Reach out and say, how are you? Reach out and tell people that you care about them. Reach out and say, I know you haven't heard from me for years, but you've been on my mind and I want to know how you're doing. It's a simple thing, and I can tell you I know it because people have done that to me in just the last week. People I would not have expected to hear from. And I go, wow, I'm so deeply touched. And the word touch is really important. I gave a talk on it about a month ago on touch. I talk about physical touch and emotional touch. And I bring it up again because if you are alone somewhere and there is no one touching you, there's no one comforting you in some physical way, let me recommend the most remarkable, unexpected power that you have within your body at this moment in time if you're not paralyzed, and that is touch yourself. Touch, forefinger, thumb together. If you do that in slow motion and you feel the gentle, unbelievable power of touching yourself, you will understand what it means to have a body, what it means to have love and kindness and care for who you are. It's you touching yourself. We were given bodies to be touched, and if no one is there to touch us, touch yourself. Emotional touching is when you touch somebody without the physical benefit of a hand or an arm or hug. Emotional hugging is you reach out and literally, internally at least, embrace the other. I have, of course, my grandchildren and my children who I cannot touch. I can't even be right now within 6 feet of them because there's so many fears involved in proximity. So I go inside myself and I love them, and love is a form of touching. You can imagine someone you love and you can touch them. That touching is really part of the glory of going deep inside. And what starts to happen is you feel not only that you can be touched, or that you can touch, but that you can be touched, and that you are being touched. And one of the powerhouses of emotional feeling is that what is it that is feeling you? What is it that is feeling? And that is part of the doorway to God consciousness, higher consciousness. Feeling yourself being felt. Feeling the enormous flow between the universe and you. And again, I probably will be doing this week by week, but I have never in my life felt as touched and as available to touch as I have in these last weeks. I have never felt more joy, more gratitude, more appreciation. I don't know exactly what to do with it other than to tell you that it's possible. If I can feel it, you can. I'm lucky to have my wife, my partner at home, who I can touch and love and hug and express my gratitude to and my affection. I have email and I have Skype and I have whatever Zoom is, and I can talk to people and let them know how much love there is. There wasn't one of you today on this screen who wasn't a beneficiary of this love, and it's not coming from Bruce. It is a passageway that goes to you, and it goes from deep within, and though it may look like it's coming from the other, it's really rising up from inside you, because my depth of being is your own depth of being. We are not in any way separate or cut off from one another. We are the living embodiment of one thing with all of our own individualized stories. Some of us are engaged in gratitude. Some of us are engaged in anger and why me. Some of us are truly suffering. Some of us are really hungry. Some of us are really scared to death about losing homes, losing family. It goes on and on. And, you know, in a time like this, you know, you can read the papers, you can watch the news, you can engage all of the drama that is occurring around you. But there's not a lot you can do for people right now in any realistic way. Of course, they're saying doing is sitting home. Staying away from people is doing. I don't know if you can grab what the value of that is, but you serve people now. You serve the world by sitting still at home, away. And why you're sitting still, if you want to do something that really changes the world and provides some kind of ripple of true hope in life, go inside, find your heart, open it, and share what you experience with others. Do it by email, do it by phone, do it by Zoom, whatever it is. Let people know you're there and you care. You don't have to say much, you don't have to do much, just give that over to people. Or if you choose not to communicate, let it ripple out and fill time and space. That works. That really works. But there are thousands and thousands of things being presented to you that you can do. You can start doing puzzles, you can do video games, you can write songs, you can paint pictures. There's a lot to do to fill your time. You don't have to sit in meditation the whole time, although those of you drawn to that will benefit from that. But do what you need to do and take care of the core of the mandala. Rudy always said, everybody's good at the rim of the mandala, taking care of people at the distance. Take care of whatever's in front of you. If what's in front of you is a partner or a family, they're everything. Then you can worry about the peripheral beings. If all you have is yourself, take care of yourself. Take care. Walk, breathe, exercise, make yourself whole, clean up the house, you know, do everything. I don't want to be that to-do list, but you have your own. Find your to-do list and do it. But I would say make time in this extraordinary period that we're in to go into the cave, sit down, and prepare yourself for the one true moment of your life that is unavoidable, which is at some point you will die, and that could be sooner than later. I've done things like I sent my kids all of my passwords for everything. I made a list of what I want to happen when I die, my final wishes. I shared them with my family. I don't know that it's going to happen, but boy, it felt good to make sure they knew what it was. I wanted everything clear. I wanted everything ready so that if the wrong person coughs on me, you know, I don't have to hold off and think about what I need to do. You can do all of that. Just make yourself ready. Let the world know your wishes, your plans, how you want to deal with this. And when the moment comes, should it come now or in 10 years or 20 years, you have done your homework. And that final moment where they say, there's no more future for you. There's no more world to distract you. There's no more busyness to keep you distracted and unfocused. There's only this thing right in front of you. You will look at it with clear eyes and you will go, yes. That's what this period is teaching us. Get yourself ready. Be available. It's going to come for real. If not tomorrow, some point. And if you have this taken care of inside, like I said to you last week, and I mean this deeply, if I die tomorrow, I die happy. I am done. I'll do more work. I just got a big job, crazy big job, writing a show. And I don't know how that came out of nowhere, but it did, and now I have stuff to do. But I am also completely at peace, walking down the street, sitting down, looking out in the backyard, being quiet, and meditating and feeling grateful for every ounce of what we have. Find that, make your peace. Okay, I guess that's it. Questions from anybody brave enough to ask a question on Zoom? I think you just have to unmute yourself and talk.
I've been having a very intense need to express my gratitude for the people around me at the moment, because I think it's tangibly felt in a way that I've never felt it before. And I know so many people from the Sundays at Bruce's that are on the call, and a lot of people I haven't met yet, but I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for keeping this community alive and coming every Sunday. It's important. It's so important to me. And whether I know you or not, you're having a profound effect on my life at the moment. So thank you.
Thanks, Nate.
I want to chime in and say thank you also for being the prophet of joyful doom.
Well, I mean, in a way, Michael, I mean, what else is there? I mean, there's either terrifying doom or joyful doom, but doom is, if you want to give it that label, this does end. You do lose everything, but in the deepest, most profound sense of letting go of everything, you may also discover that you have just gotten it all. And so by doom, I feel bad that that's a connotation of all of this, because it's the dark vision of going out. I see it as light upon light, brighter and brighter, and more, in a strange way, joyful. Yes, it's scary to go out of the biological space. It's really scary. The body is programmed to make it uncomfortable or to make you fearful. But doom is an interesting word, and I would rather not be associated with doom, even though half of my movies have a quality of doom in them. There is something beyond doom that I think we all can rise to, and I think probably my innate instinct, my childhood, sort of ghettoized Jewish background from the shtetls in Russia, doom comes. Blanche and I were watching last night Fiddler on the Roof, and it was like, yeah, boy, they had stuff to deal with. This is simple. But doom is a part of the human condition, and I think you do have to kind of confront it in some way. And it may be a life's work. I think it is. And I've now had 50 years of sitting meditating, so it's been a life's work. And one of the great aspects of that sit is that I don't feel doom laden. I know doom can happen, but I don't feel it will be the end of anything. It'll just be a passage. And if I do it properly, I'll have a light leading me through it. So will you?
May I say something, Bruce?
Sure. Go ahead, John.
This apparent dualistic paradigm that we've been living in, by going inside, we defy the notion that the outside, the identification with the outside, is sort of the way to do things. We know now that outside there's extraordinary pandemonium. And if we become a victim or a subject of that pandemonium, we generate the pandemonium. So the two parallel things that are going on, maybe three at least parallel things going on at the same time, if we go inside, we connect with the outside. That's a dichotomy, and it's the most poetic experience we can have, in a tactile, bodily way. And as you say, Bruce, we inevitably come into contact with everybody and everything. The past and the future become vapors of illusion of some kind, and we're present through our bodies in the here and now. Not only does that enable us to reverse the pandemonium, we become part of the solution. We generate the well-beingness through our own dichotomist metric internal connection that connects us all together eventually.
I agree.
Yeah, thank you. So, by the way, I believe, and some of us may know more specifically, but this generates immunity. We become more healthy and vibrant and resistant to toxic overdose and to disease. We become at ease. And we come into oneness with pollution, with etc. Huh? So just adding a little more context and color to the experience.
Beautifully put, and I agree with you completely. You know, I mean, immunity is, you know, we're in God's hands, but our bodies are very much under our control. And if we are suffering and stress, we create a great deal of vulnerability. And if you are in a state of joy and openness and possibility and living life in a big way, if you're walking, if you're talking, if you're vibrant, the virus will have a harder time getting into your system. So I'm not walking around in a fear zone at all, what the virus is or can do. On the other hand, I'm respectful of what it's doing, and I'm very aware that it's become a big part of the international worldly environment that we inhabit in a way that it has not ever been in our lifetime. And we have great lessons to learn from it. Learning how to be invulnerable, or how to be really not open to contagion is a great thing. And health on every level is very valuable. And I'd say, do what you can do.
Hey, Bruce, I have a question. Thank you for having me here. I want to know how you reconcile this for those of us who are lucky enough to be safe at home and family is still okay, and, you know, maybe finding some joy in this, feeling guilty about finding joy in that. How do you reconcile when you read about all of the horrible things and all of the deaths in the hospitals and this great suffering? How do you reconcile that with finding your own safe space?
Well, it's a good question. And I mean, I don't think there is a perfect answer other than we all die. Life is a journey into that. Suffering is part of the human condition. Why that story exists, why it's created in those terms, I can't really justify that in any way. I just know that you have what you're given. You have what you're given. Be grateful for it. It can change in an instant. Everything can be uprooted, and the test of your life may be waiting for you, 5 minutes away or weeks away. You really don't know. But in any given moment that you are having, find gratitude for that moment. And if it's really a struggling moment, that's going to be harder to do. But this is an extraordinary opportunity right now for you to see what it's like to be blessed by an awareness and a consciousness of how your life is a gift right to you at this moment in time, and that your job is not to go out there and suffer with everybody else. If that's to happen, it'll be given to you as an opportunity. But what is your reality at this moment? Your reality is beautiful right now, and be grateful for that. If you want to give yourself a mindful talk about all this struggle and all this suffering that's going on in the world, that's great. You can do it. If you want to go out there and open yourself up to being of help, fine. But right now they're saying quite vividly, your biggest help to the world is stay home. Stay where you are. That's the real help. So you can make yourself guilty about it. You can tell yourself a story about it. You can give yourself some kind of drama. But the reality is you have been placed in a very sweet space. I have experienced the same thing. I am feeling very, very grateful. I don't know what more to bring to the equation than gratitude. And I feel if the time comes, where real action other than staying away from people is required, then hopefully I will have the directive internally, the attunement to know what to do and where to go and how to do it. But to build up a kind of guilt system inside seems to me to be mind playing on your body-mind construct, and you don't need to do that. Just breathe into the what is. And your what is a particular what is, as is everybody else's. And that's what you can do. I'm not one of these people. I'm not somebody who knows how to create a food bank, for example. I wouldn't know what to do. I could barely make spaghetti. So I'm not going to be the person who goes out there to do the food bank. You know, I wish I had other skills like that. And I think the people who do that are truly heroic and need to be applauded. But I don't know that we need to become other beings. And if you can continue to love your daughters and love your wife and create a family environment where you are safe and well, that's a real work, and do that. If you can expose them to the idea of your own gratitude and joy and simplicity, that's spreading it out there into the world. It will go further in time. So I don't know any other answer other than to acknowledge the guilt, look at it, and unless you can feel an answer, rise up, just stay still and don't live in the guilt. It can come up when it needs to. And if it inspires you ultimately into action that will be helpful, great. If it doesn't, I mean, then you can just stir that pot, but you don't have to.
Thank you.
Bruce? Oh, sorry.
Dale?
Yes, Bruce?
Yes.
I can't see you. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay.
Where you are. There you are. The fruit of my meditation has taken the shape of hope, and a hope that expresses itself in a prayerful energy for the scientists, the epidemiologists, or whatever that branch of science is, that one of them will come up with something like Salk did in 1955 and eradicated polio. So I'm sending a hope and my prayers in that direction, that could happen.
I love that, Dale. And I think I've described this to you because it happens to me a lot. I meditate before I go to bed and often before in the middle of the night. And I am instructed, as I've said multiple times, to just open my heart and send love into the world. I could add hope to that as well, because I trust there are these amazing forces at work, and I trust the alignment that's taking place right now. There's something going on that's beyond our everyday experience. It's there for a reason, and we are very, very blessed to observe this thing that's happening. How do we use it well? Love, hope, be, care for, touch, gratitude, appreciation. Those are the key factors, most of which are emotionally based. Some have an intellectual component, some have an artistic component, but there is a kind of a doing that puts this out there. And since we are a collective reality, that is not a waste of time. Sending hope into the world, sending your energy, and if necessary, if there's a way to do it, your money, letters, whatever it might be, that will help people in this period of time. That's beneficial too. Thank you. Anybody else?
You want to unmute?
Hello? Can
Penny?
you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to say thank you, Bruce, for having us all here. And I'm sure everybody among us here this is what we needed right now for everybody. And also, I would say that we just have asked for wisdom, asked for comfort, for strength, and for endurance. And that's all I could say. And we trust and believe that all this will be over. And we just have to be more patient.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had a sign that popped up that said Daniel Subkoff raised his hand. Daniel, there somewhere?
Yes. Hi, Bruce.
Oh,
I
there you
was trying to be polite and just raise my hand.
Yeah, it doesn't hear you when you raise your hand, but somehow it noticed.
Okay. Well, yeah, I had a question, and that is in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. Now that we're all kind of in the mode of thinking more palpably about impermanence, that and it could be any of us at any moment, which is always the case, but more potently now. There's a practice called POA, where it's you eject your mind sort of through the crown of your head to a sort of Buddha field or a pure realm, and it's there's a particular technology to it, you could say. But I was remembering that Rudy was teaching a practice of like an astral travel practice, which is very similar kind of technique, although I'm not as familiar with it. And I was just wondering your experience of that. I know that you don't normally share that kind of teaching of Rudy's, but I was wondering if you think that's applicable to the time of death from this particular lineage point of view, and if you could sort of expand on that a little bit. Just, it seemed like a timely thing to inquire about.
Yeah, I wish I had a real answer. Rudy did give a teaching that involved moving out the top of your head into an astral space. I have traveled astrally in the past, but never out of a practice occurred.
Honey,
I was
did I see the right thing?
very familiar, I've experienced being out of the body and traveling around in the universe and finding it to be very strange, very interesting, very global in a way. At the same time, it was me in some spiritual form traveling. I remember traveling way off the earth and going so far away that the earth became like a little pinprick of a star. And I looked at it, hold it, find my way back. I was so far away, and I got so frightened at that moment that I shot right back into my body, and I haven't made an effort to astral project ever since. My journey is very much inward, and so I think probably the final journey is a blasting out of this space. But I don't do that very much. And if you know people who are really expert at that, we could have them talk. But my experience is the inward journey goes to everything. It goes everywhere. You touch the universal ocean of being. And for me, floating on that ocean is proving to be, it fills me with a sense of support. It knows it's carrying me somewhere. If I don't try to row the boat in my own direction, I feel it's going to take me where I need to go. It's been moving me through life, my entire life, and it's so far done a good job. So I just trust it. I just trust this thing, and I just settle in and let this thing happen. If it tells me to row, I row. If it tells me to go this way, I go that way. If it says go that way, I go that way. I just follow the directives. I have not been directed to go out into this, whatever you call a Po state. I don't know that state. And Rudy's directive to do it never connected with me really in any deep way. So sorry about that.
Can I just add something to that, Daniel and Bruce?
Yes.
When I received the instructions for the POA practice through the same lineage that Daniel is referencing, we were told in that moment, in that context, in that group, that this was a kind of backup plan. If you can instantaneously dissolve yourself into emptiness, then that's the backup plan. It's just to add a context to it.
I don't have a backup, so I don't know exactly how to use that, but
you don't need one.
Come into play. Let's say, and I haven't said this yet, that a number of our group have had the virus. And Will and Mary, Will is actually part of here today. Marty and Michael both have had a very bad episode of the virus. Tony Stern has. Molly Heron, who hasn't been around in a while, but has also been hit by this thing. And in their descriptions of what's going on, this is a very real and frightening event. And, I'm not in the best position to bring food to somebody's house or help them in these sick circumstances. But my son Josh has been very helpful with us bringing food and has opened himself up to trying to help people. And Ari too has been helping people all over Washington, D.C. If any of you get the virus and you need backup help, you should let me know. I don't know what I will do, but I will put it out there, and we will trying to find ways to help you through whatever it is you're going through. It is clearly something that descends on even the most spiritually committed and blessed people. And I woke up 2 mornings this week certain I had it for whatever reason. I think just hypochondriacal sensibility. But I will tell you, having the feeling that you're having it and having it are very big wake-up calls to impermanence. And knowing that this is impermanent is the gift of what we're going through. This is a short ride for all of us. There's no guarantees. Be ready to say yes when the time comes. Anybody else?
Bruce, I was just going to say I'm a little lagged here, so it's going to come through a little bit late. But one thing that your talk brought about also makes me think of in terms of discussing death, which maybe comes to us a little bit more as we get older, the proximity of death. But it's the kind of sense, I feel like we're in a time of urgency. And I told you this in the email, where, you know, for me, a meditation practice, and you could say preparing for death, is no longer an option which I take on, oh, well, I think I'll meditate today. It's absolutely urgent. And there's a, you know, I mean, that kind of pressure, I don't know, maybe I respond to pressure better, but I find myself in the morning when I was going, you know, still working, that even if I had 15 minutes, if I could get to 5 seconds of nowness, getting into the now and opening up, that 5 seconds would last all day and longer. But it's this kind of sense of urgency maybe that we're in, and it also makes our interactions with people all the more deeper in a way. And that urgency will probably stay with me, but it's just my experience right now. And certainly getting the virus, as I mentioned to you, one just almost technical thing that I felt I could use is that if you breathed in deeply, the way you did with the yogic breath, you could feel exactly where the virus was hitting you or where it was in your chest, and actually open from there. So anyway, just a few thoughts to join in with this wonderful group here.
George, can't hear you. George, I can't hear you. You're on mute, I think. Okay. Nope.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Yep.
I just wanted to say, after going to an art of dying convention 23 years ago when my brother was about to die, I just remembered the preliminary speaker, Robert Thurman, saying, wanted to congratulate everybody here because we're all going to die successfully. And we're all going to have successful deaths. And we've probably done it hundreds of times before. But life is precious, so we should enjoy the moment of our incarnations as humans while we have it.
I am totally on board with that. And I also think, I mean, that as you enter the doorway of death, the thing you just mentioned, 1, it's familiar. 2, in the present tense of the now, you are going to know what to do. You can't project it, you can't think about it, you can't prepare for it so much other than being open and available. But when that moment occurs, something in you will go, yeah. And you'll do the work. You'll give yourself over to this thing. So rather than spend a whole life fearing it and worrying about it and all of that stuff, live your life in a state of blessed gratitude for the moment-to-moment reality, and that will take care of itself, and it will also be blessed, and it will also be full of gratitude. So you just have to get to that place, but don't rush it. All we're doing now is laying the groundwork to do it right. Anybody else? Okay.
I would like to say something, Bruce, Trisha. I just want to say thank you. And I want to just do an overall hi to everybody, because there's so many people that are flashing on the screen that I've got to meet, from yours and Blanche's graciousness, inviting us into your homes. And I love the idea of this too shall pass, and looking forward to when we can all come together in real time, in real place.
Well, we are too. I mean, our house is going to be finished in a week, 2 weeks. And I just want everyone to come. I just want everyone to be here. It's going to be so a lovely place to gather. And it's made for you guys. That's really what this has all been about. And we want you to come and be here. And this too shall pass. It will all work out. And we will all be beneficiaries of an incredible awakening moment for the whole planet, for the whole country. God knows where it leads exactly, variables in terms of stories. But the real truth will be each one of us, having been conscious and awake and available to this, will come out stronger, will come out more clear-headed and bigger hearts, and we will be, the gatherings from here on in will be all that much deeper. It'll be beautiful. Thank you. Did I see any more hands? I don't think we're done. Anyway, let me.
I want to ask. I just want to check in.
Go ahead, Eve.
Sorry. Hi. Thank you. Namaste. Thank you so much. I just, out of gratitude, want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I just can't express it through words enough. That's why I won't say too much except for the basics, which is thank you from the bottom. Thank you, because I happen to be I'm in Sedona. I wound up, it just synchronistically things happen, and this is where I am now. I'm staying for a while. I don't know exactly when I'm coming back to New York, but left on the 15th of on a work trip by a car from New York City on the 15th of March. So the thing is, as soon as I started observing how talkative how much speaking, I just thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I don't know, all I know is that I know nothing, and I'm so grateful that everything happened, which had nothing to do with my doing it on purpose. And from when I started, and this morning, now I remember what I was about to say, I opened my iPhone, which is full iPhone storage block. Anyway, I was deleting old ancient photos from 2014, and I came across photos that I took then at Rudy's ashram, and with Tara, and I was just going through, and the inner voice is so difficult to express through words of gratitude. It's just so immense. Thank you.
I find it interesting that you ended up in Sedona. A good friend of mine ended up by chance in France. You have good places to end up. Who knows how or why. Enjoy.
Not a bad place to be stuck for now. Thank you.
I want to say, next week,
I
wrote this to teach this class for the San Rafael people in California, and the week after that for the Los Angeles people. I can't put everybody on one screen because I think it's just too many people. So class in New York will probably not be held for the next 2 weeks. So if you don't get an email signing on, you can listen to the talk. It'll be on the YouTube channel after the class. But it will be back here in 3 weeks. Directly, happy Easter, happy Passover. Have a wonderful, quiet 2 weeks. Sit still, go deep. Feel how lucky you are to be alive in this world and in this moment of time, because we're all being informed by some greater force about the power of being still and finding ourselves in stillness. So use it well, guys. And I love you very much. And if I can remember how to end this talk, I will do that. I just figured it out. So have a great afternoon. Go for a walk. It's going to be beautiful up here. Love you.